everyone, it's Sal here. A very warm welcome back to my channel. Thanks for joining me today. So today I'm going to be talking about 4 fragrances. They are Hypnotic Poison, Kenzo Amour, Valentina Poudre and Juliette has a gun. So the reason I'm talking about these 4 in particular is because when I have mentioned them sort of individually throughout my channel, various different questions about some of these fragrances have been popping up. So what I thought I would do is basically do a sort of comparison video talking about all 4 of these fragrances, because I think actually the style of the smell of each of these, they all have a similar theme running throughout. So they are all similar in some way to Hypnotic Poison, and I thought it would be best just to talk about them all, because I was going to do just a comparison between Kenzo Amour and Hypnotic Poison. That was my initial plan, but then when your questions were popping up in my in the comments of my previous videos, it got me thinking, oh, hang on a minute, you know, people want to know if these ones are similar as well. So that's why I'm going to be talking about all 4 of them for you guys. I'm going to be looking at each of these fragrances individually, talking about which things about them I like the best. I'm going to say which ones are actually the most similar to Hypnotic Poison, and I'm going to rate them on various things like longevity, the smell itself, performance, things like that, just overall which one I prefer. And at the very end, I think I'll tell you guys which one out of these 4 is my all-time favourite, so stay tuned for that. Also, if you guys are new here and haven't yet subscribed to my channel, I'd absolutely love it if you would. Please feel free to do that if you like perfume videos. I upload twice a week fragrance related videos, so if that is your thing, please feel free to subscribe. Okay, so to kick this video off, what I think I'll do is I'll just start talking about the fragrance Hypnotic Poison, like the main fragrance in question. This one is like a cult favourite. Everybody knows about this one. It's much hyped. Everybody talks about it, and you can probably hear in my voice that this one has fallen short for me. I feel very flat about this fragrance, unfortunately. The fragrance itself I adore the smell of it. I have it on this hand here. I literally just sprayed it before I started filming, and that was about 10 minutes ago, and already it has no sillage. This is kind of, it's not great because I know that not all of them are like this. I know that there were sort of the previous versions, the previous formulations which I have heard are better. So you might own one of the better ones that perform much better. For me, this is one I purchased very recently, and I think the new formulations of this are just so weak. I have to actually go about that close to my skin to even smell it. The only way that I can smell this just generally around me is if I overspray it and actually spray it just on my clothes and in my hair, like things like that, to actually get the smell out of it. So I discovered that, and then came my quest to find like a dupe which performed better, because I could not settle with that. Like, I adore the smell. I love the smell, and when I overspray it, like I say, and I get the smell from it, it's lovely, but it's very upsetting the fact that this just is, honestly, and I understand it's an eau de toilette, but the thing that gets me is the fact that I've heard what it used to be like. So I heard that, you know, this did have the potential to last very long. I know that the previous formulations of it were much better quality by the sounds of it. They lasted better, they projected, they performed, and this one, however, just does not. So that's what kind of gets me about this one. So anyway, I kind of thought, what can I do about this? Because like, I really want to have this Hypnotic Poison experience, but this one, I can't deal with it, guys. It just, and this was not cheap either. Like, these are expensive perfumes, and they just don't last. So anyway, and I heard, the first one I heard actually that was similar to this was the Juliette Has a Gun, and that was the first one that I got out of these 4. So this was the first one that I bought. Just make sure my candle's okay. I get a bit paranoid about flames sometimes. So this was the first one I got within the last year, but it was still quite a while ago. I can't remember when, but this one is lovely. This one is a beautiful fragrance. It's sort of centered around caramel, sandalwood as well, so you've got that creamy sandalwood texture. And something interesting about this one actually is the fact that it has raspberry in here as well. So this one is powdery. It almost, I've said this in a previous video, it almost smells like the colour and the texture of this bottle. So it's a very kind of thick, creamy, powdery, gourmand, delicious, kind of seductive fragrance. It's got, like I say, the caramel. It's sort of, I would say, a little bit musky. It's rich. It's like a raspberry caramel kind of dessert, but it's not what you think, if you know what I mean. It's not like surface level, like sweet, kind of boring gourmand. It's like a deep, sensuous, kind of seductive, sophisticated fragrance. It's very, very alluring. I would love to wear this on a date. It's just very addictive, actually. Like if you smelled this on somebody, you would definitely want to try and get closer to them to smell it better. The funny thing about this one, actually, because when I smelled both of these, they do smell very alike, and I actually thought that there was almond in here, but there's no almond. But when I smell it, there is something reminiscent of almond in here, like that powdery texture that they've achieved. It's like almost like almond to me. So the thing I love about this one is it's kind of like, although it is sweet, it's not juvenile at all. This is a very grown up, very seductive fragrance. It's woody, sandalwood, kind of like root beer. It's got that rich root beer kind of fragrance to it, and something you guys might like and appreciate actually about this one, and that is the fact that it doesn't smell like Play-Doh whatsoever. Like this has no kind of Play-Doh smell about it at all. I don't really think it does, whereas I would agree that this does. Although that smell kind of appeals to me anyway, so it doesn't bother me. But if it bothered you, so if you smelled this and you thought, oh my goodness, that's just Play-Doh and I don't like it at all, but you still want something kind of, you wanted to like it but you couldn't get past that, if you know what I mean, I would give this one a try, because this one does not have that Play-Doh at all, but it does have that Hypnotic Poison feeling about it. It does have that Hypnotic Poison DNA. Is it a 100% dupe? No. Like, it doesn't smell identical, but it definitely has that same vibe about it. I would say, if I had to try and explain how similar this is to Hypnotic Poison, I would say if you imagine you have Hypnotic Poison, but you remove the Play-Doh note, I suppose, you add in caramel and you amp up the sandalwood, and that's kind of it really. Like, it is quite similar. I would say it's probably maybe 75 to 80% dupe, but they're similar but not identical, if you know what I mean. Also, another good thing about this one is the lasting power is good, so big tick from me. It's something that really bothers me if things don't last. I can tolerate it on some fragrances if they're maybe not that expensive or whatever, but in general it does bother me if something doesn't last. This, however, does. This one lasts. It's a beautiful fragrance. Sandalwood, sweet, kind of unusual, very seductive, kind of brilliant for winter. Again, very similar to Hypnotic Poison, but not 100% similar, if you know what I mean. Okay, the next one I'm going to talk about is actually one that I didn't think was going to feature in this video. I thought that it was just going to be the Kenzo Amour, the and the Hypnotic Poison, but actually somebody again commented on a video featuring this one, asking if it's similar, or they said it was similar or something like that. Like there was a connection between this one and Hypnotic Poison. So if we spray some of this, it's got your kind of musk mallow in here, you've got your iris, your vanilla, it's very powdery. It doesn't have that that deep red kind of root beer vibe that Hypnotic Poison and both have. This doesn't really have that. This is more a kind of like a marshmallow, I would say, like a light pink, like basically kind of the look of the bottle, I would say. It's as if you've got Hypnotic Poison, but you don't have the toasted almonds. There is a bit of a Play-Doh kind of smell to this one, but it's overall kind of a lighter fragrance. So it's more focused on the vanilla, it's more focused on the iris, it's very sort of, it's not super complex. It's basically kind of your powdery, rich vanilla iris fragrance with the kind of the musk mallow in there, which like I'm not entirely sure how that's meant to smell on its own, but I think it adds something like a depth, like something nice when it heats up on your skin. But yeah, there is actually a slight Play-Doh note to this, which I hadn't thought about before, but now I think about it, there is some of that in here. So from that point of view, there's a similarity. The powderiness is very similar. The texture of the smell is similar. The fact that there's kind of vanilla in here, which obviously this is a very vanilla heavy fragrance as well, that's very similar. But it just doesn't have any of the nuttiness. It's not as Play-Doh-y as the original Hypnotic Poison, and the performance is better. I would say pretty much every fragrance out there is probably going to have better performance than this one. But yeah, the performance is pretty good on this. I would say, I can't quite remember, like I never really pay attention to how long this lasts, but I want to say around maybe 6 or 7 hours. But it's pretty decent. I would say this is a pretty strong fragrance. It's as if you imagine that they did like a flanker of Hypnotic Poison, like Hypnotic Poison Marshmallow or something like that, it would be like this one maybe. So yeah, again, kind of similar. This one lasts better, it's beautiful. If you want like a marshmallowy, vanilla, powdery fragrance that's very angelic and beautiful and very, very feminine, this one is great. Probably 7 or 8 out of 10, just because it's not, like I'm not absolutely crazy about it, just because it is quite simple, I guess. Like it's not anything groundbreaking. So I would say, I'll give it an 8 actually, because it's a really lovely fragrance and it lasts quite well. So I'll give it an 8 out of 10, this one here, and that's Valentina Poudre. And now we have Kenzo Amour. So this one here, if I just spray some more just to refresh my memory. Now, whoops, I sprayed it at the camera. This is a beautiful powdery, again, vanilla, sweet, soothing, soft, comforting fragrance. This one is absolutely stunning. I'm really glad I got the 100ml. This was a blind buy and I thought, you know, I'm just gonna go for the 100ml bottle because I was fairly confident that I would like it, and as it turns out I do love it. So I love spraying loads of this. Now, I was quite taken aback actually at how similar this is to Hypnotic Poison. I would say this smells very similar, but there is something about this which adds to it, which is very lovely, that Hypnotic Poison does not have. So there's something that sets these two apart, and that is the initial fresh laundry feeling that this has. This has a fresh, clean smell kind of throughout the smell, but particularly when you first spray it. Now, I don't know what that comes from. I know that there actually are so many notes in here, like very different from Hypnotic Poison. Like there's loads of different notes in here, like rice, there's different plants, kind of green notes, I think, some florals. There's lots going on in here, which give it more of a green kind of fresh note. Not at all citrusy, by the way. I don't mean a citrusy freshness. I mean like freshly cleaned, crisp white sheets blowing in the breeze outside, that kind of smell. And a warm rice pudding. So this is like overall stunning. This is an absolutely stunning fragrance. Which again, because of that powderiness, it almost gives me a touch of almond. I don't know if there's almond in here, but it gives me that kind of almondy vibe. Sometimes powdery like smells can remind me of almonds actually. I'm not quite sure why, but they give me that sort of feeling. So I don't think there's any almonds in here, but it almost is like an almondy kind of almond milk kind of thing, if you know what I mean. Again, this is a lovely kind of sweet vanilla in like a warm rice pudding way, because they've done this differently. It's not like just a sweet vanilla scent, it's like done in a quite a different way. So they've used rice and things like that to give it that different kind of vanillic sweetness, if you know what I mean. And it does, I would say the Play-Doh in this is probably just like a slight nuance to it, just because of how similar it is to Hypnotic Poison. Like there's a nuance of Play-Doh in here, but it's not anywhere near the same level as the original Hypnotic Poison. It's kind of warm, reassuring, addictive, soft. There's nothing harsh in here whatsoever. It's very, very like a round, fluffy, kind of smooth smell. And I would say actually the only differences between this one and Hypnotic Poison really is the fact that Hypnotic Poison has more of that roasted almond smell. It's a bit more gourmand. The original Hypnotic Poison is more of a gourmand, and it doesn't have that sort of like fresh linen smell that this one has. So this one has an addition of like fresh linen blowing in the breeze, like a rice pudding vanilla sweetness. And it's just a soft, powdery, beautiful, sweet kind of smell. The level of sweetness between the two is pretty much the same, I would say. The texture of each of these smells, I would say, is very, very similar. And I would say overall, this is about a 90 to 95% dupe, but it's not identical. Like you can definitely smell the differences. Like there are differences between them, but I would say overall, about 90 to 95% similarity between Kenzo Amour and Hypnotic Poison. So now I'm going to rate them in different ways. So first of all, I think I'll talk about which one like is the best for performance. So starting at the bottom with the worst performance, 3 guesses to which one that's going to be. Obviously this one here is terrible, it doesn't last. Next up, I would say probably these two are almost on par with how they last, I would say. They have similar lasting power, but maybe this one is slightly better, I can't quite remember. I think they both last the same way, to be honest, but Kenzo Amour becomes a close skin scent a bit sooner than this one does. So I would say joint second place can be these two. They both last about 6 hours on the skin, that kind of thing. And then number 1 with lasting power is Juliette Has a Gun. Mmmm. This one lasts very well. It's a high quality fragrance. It projects pretty well. It's a nice strong fragrance for sure. This one is brilliant. So yeah, really good lasting power. This one lasts all day without a doubt. And now I'm gonna rate which one I prefer in terms of the smell itself. So in 4th place, I would probably say is this one here, Valentina Poudre. And I know what you're probably thinking, and yeah, I do love it. I absolutely adore this one, don't get me wrong. It's a beautiful powdery vanilla fragrance. This one falls short to me in the sense of it being quite linear. So this one, basically, when you first spray it, it stays fairly linear, and it's just kind of like it's nice, but it's the kind of thing where it doesn't really surprise you in any way. Like it doesn't change very much. It doesn't intrigue me that much, if you know what I mean, but it's a very, very pleasant smell. I absolutely love it. So yeah, this one is in 4th place for the smell. Next up, I'll probably say Juliette Has a Gun. Mmmm. I really like this one, but the only thing with this is like the caramel in here, which is gorgeous. I'm not always in the mood for, if you know what I mean. Like if I'm craving that sort of sweetness, then it's brilliant, it's beautiful, and it's really addictive. Like I love wearing this one, but it's just not one that I reach for very often. Whereas some of the other ones here could be like everyday fragrances I wear wherever type thing. This one is more kind of like a date night, or like, I don't know, on a cold winter day, that type of thing, like a cozy gourmand, if you know what I mean. So it's not quite as versatile, I guess. It's very sweet, but it's gorgeous. It's just not quite in the same league as the other ones, in my opinion. Next is Kenzo Amour taking 2nd place, and I will say actually it's very close between Kenzo Amour and Mmmm. They're kind of like almost joint 2nd place, we could say. I love them both. But yeah, this one is next. It's beautiful, kind of fresh linen, clean, comforting, warm, vanillic beauty, this one. It's absolutely stunning. I love the smell of this one. And then in first place, in terms of which one I love the smell of the most, is going to be Hypnotic Poison here. It just makes it that bit more upsetting, the fact that it doesn't last, because yeah, I would say that this is my like favourite smell out of all of these. It's just so distinctive, you know, and the fact is, like, I've mentioned those 3 other fragrances, and yes, there are similarities between them, some stronger than others, some are very close dupes, but the fact of the matter is, like, you're never going to get anything that's exactly like this because it is so iconic and it's so unique and original, and it's just got that thing about it that you just crave, if you know what I mean. It's just so gorgeous. And I guess if I had to pick my overall, like, you know, taking everything into account, if I had to pick one fragrance out of these 4 that was my favourite, it wouldn't be the original Hypnotic Poison, like, no way, just because it doesn't last and that really annoys me. But it's actually quite difficult to decide because I love the other 3 so much, but I would say it would have to be a tie between this one and I would say probably this one taking the edge slightly because it's so beautiful and it's more versatile as well. Like, I wear this anywhere, whereas to me this is more, I don't know, like I couldn't really see myself wearing this to work or anything like that. Just my own personal feeling about it. So I would say, like, if I had to just pick one, I would say Kenzo Amour is my favourite out of these 4. Just because with regards to everything, like taking everything into account, like the way that it lasts, the way that it smells, its uniqueness, like the addictive quality to it, I would say taking all of that into account, this one is sort of a cut above the rest for me personally. And yeah, like I say, this is probably like a 90 to 95% dupe of Hypnotic Poison, and I'm really happy that I found this because, like I say, I fell in love with the smell of that one, and I was just so disappointed that it didn't last, and I was kind of on a mission to find another one that was similar, and I'd heard that this one was quite similar, and it is, and it lasts much longer. So actually this kind of scratches that itch, if you know what I mean. It sort of satisfies that Hypnotic Poison craving that I get. And it just performs much better, and also it's much more affordable. I mean, I got this on a discount website. I got this on All Beauty and there was like money off it. I can't remember what I paid exactly, but it wasn't very much. I think it was around about £45 for 100ml, which was really good value because obviously it's going to last me a very long time. So this takes the #1 spot overall in this fragrance comparison video. I really hope this was helpful. This was sort of like a semi-requested video just because I have had comments from you guys asking about certain fragrances, you know, out of the ones I've just talked about, and asking how similar they are to Hypnotic Poison, which one's better, which one do I prefer. I hope that this kind of covers your questions, and of course if you have any other questions you can just put them in the comments below and I'll get back to you there as well. But those are my thoughts on these 4 fragrances. They are all amazing. It's just, you know, this is a real shame because this would be one, see if this lasted, this would be one that I would like repurchase again and again, but because it doesn't, like, I'm just kind of, I hope you guys enjoyed my video. As always, thank you so much for all your support. To all of you guys who keep popping along to my videos, commenting, for all of you who have subscribed and shown your support to my little perfume channel. I really do see you and I really appreciate every single one of you. So thank you, and I will see you all very soon. Take care.